My target market for this book was CEOs of tech companies, but also people that run product marketing or product people inside tech companies. So I get exposed to a lot of them. So I thought, all right, well, when I'm doing these coffee meetings and everything else, I'll say, look, we need to save 10 minutes at the end of this meeting, and I'm gonna quiz you on books. So we get to the end and I'd say, hey, like, read any good books lately? What do you think about books? Do you read books? And I did maybe 50 of these conversations. And it was interesting how consistent the answers were. Like every CEO I talked to said, I read books. I like books. I think books are critical to what I do. Like I didn't meet a CEO who told me they didn't read books. And then what was really interesting is the biggest complaint people had about books was that they were full of fluff. Like, I felt like I could skim this. I wish someone would just give me the summary of this book. They seem to be too repetitive. And then I got probing them, like you say, about how do you read books? Like, because they'd say, my biggest problem is I don't have enough time to read books. And I said, oh, well, when do you read the books? And they say, well, a great time to read books is when you're on a flight. So I live in Toronto. It's very common for the CEOs to be flying back and forth to Silicon Valley. That's a 3-4 hour flight. So the CEO would come and say, I load it up on my Kindle, or I buy the book, I get on the plane and I read the book. And that's how I get the book done. And I'm like, well, that's only 2-3 hours. Like, how far of the book do you get? And the CEO would say, well, I get about halfway through, but that's okay. I pretty much got it at that point because there's so much filler and everything else. I'm like, do you ever go back and read the back half? And they're like, no. So I said, wow, like books are designed wrong for this audience. Like a book should actually be way shorter. There should be way less repetition. It should be organized in a way that if you do want to skim, it's easy to skim. And so I think I got a lot of those interviews just in terms of the design of the book, how long the book should be. And so as a result, I think my book looks maybe a little bit different than a lot of business books. It's a heck of a lot shorter. There's zero repetition in it. There's a bunch of white space, and it's organized in a way that if you want to skip ahead and say, I know this step, April, you can just skip to the next step. It's pretty easy to do. And that was designed very much on purpose because I thought that would be a product that my buyers would like.